Today we have Seth on the show, a purple belt who gave me a run for my money in a recent challenge video that I did at my Rolling in Tobago Jiu-Jitsu retreat. He and his wife came to visit us in Canada, and he volunteered to get beat up on camera for your entertainment and education. We start off in my reverse De La Hiva, with Seth gripping my collar with his left hand. I see an opportunity to block that post by gripping his tricep. I now just need to elevate him to sweep him, which is why you see me insert my left butterfly hook onto his shin. I start to elevate him, but he shuts down that sweep by posting his elbow on the mat. This is what I was trying to do. But with his legs open wide to defend the sweep, there's now room for me to get underneath his legs for X guard. I start pushing on his armpit to make his legs feel lighter, and I start to secure X guard. However, Seth is doing a good job not letting me bring my left foot to the inside between his legs. So rather than fight for that, I settle for single leg X, and I hit probably the most classic single leg X sweep that there is, by using both my hands to prevent him from stepping his feet out to readjust his base, and pushing his hips to the mat by flaring my knees out to the side. As I come up on top, I think about how to proceed. I do have grips for a Toriano pass, but that's going to be hard to get with Seth on his elbow. It would be difficult to spin him. So I enter the guard and hit an X pass by kicking my right leg out and moving his legs to the side. Seth is doing a really good job preventing me from fully dropping my weight and hips down, and he starts to get onto his side. I need to get my legs away from his legs ASAP, or he's going to get his guard back. But now my legs are close to his arms, and I risk him wrestling me down if he gets to his knees. Unable to settle in side control on Seth's right side or north-south, I come all the way around and settle with side control on Seth's left side. Seth is utilizing a T-Rex arm with his left arm, but his right arm is not really doing anything productive to help him. He could use it to frame or search for an underhook, but he doesn't. Another mistake that he made is giving up control with his T-Rex arm, as this allows me to gain access to his head, and I use that grip to contort his body, forcing his hips and head in as much of the opposite direction as I can. To control his hips, I use my hand as a wedge and then replace it with my knee for a mount entry called dope mount. But I rush the entry, and Seth directs my leg between his legs to regard. My main two options from here are to take a tighter grip on his head and knee slide to my left into Kesa Gatami, but that does present some risk, or get my knee pointed towards him, which I do, and this allows me to finally secure mount. I start to threaten a cross-collar choke, not to hit the choke, but to get some sort of reaction from Seth, hoping he'll make a mistake and give me access to an arm without me having to work hard to get it. Eventually I do get that reaction, not from the cross-collar threat, but from advancing to a high mount. Seth tries to bridge and roll me over, which gives me his arm, and I take the armbar without having to work overly hard to get his arm. You gotta work smarter, not harder. This video is brought to you by Transparent Labs. They seriously have the best protein bars I've ever had. While other protein bars either taste like chalk or have ingredients I can't pronounce or wreck my stomach, these are all natural and they taste great. Ingredients that look more like a recipe than a science concoction, and they make hitting my daily protein goals so much easier. So if you want to get some for yourself, go to transparentlabs.com and use my code Jordan for 10% off, or use the link in the description or pinned comment. Seriously, they're so good, make sure you get some for yourself. Alright, we're back at it, and Seth shouldn't allow me to move his arm freely across his center line. He runs the risk of me going for a John Wayne sweep. However, I can sense that I won't be able to get the momentum needed for it, as Seth is wise to it and brings his weight away from his right. So I move on, and with Seth not gripping onto me with his right hand, I can move it around easily. I direct it to the mat by lifting him forward, causing him to post to avoid falling over. With his hand on the mat, he can't use his arm to stop me from taking his back. Forcing your opponent's hands to the mat is a useful way of clearing the path to the back, and in this case, I use a reverse underhook to get the job done. I think of these as rolling back attacks, but from the bottom. I might make a whole instructional on rolling back attacks, including these, so let me know if you want to see that. I almost have Seth's back, but his hips aren't fully in my lap where I need them. So I shrimp out to get Seth in my lap, which better centers my chest onto his back and secures back position. I try to attack the bow and arrow for a bit, but Seth does a great job not letting me get underneath his chin. I attempt like a rolling bow and arrow choke, trying to get my style points, but I suck at these and I fail miserably. We end up in deep half guard, and because I have Seth's left arm separated from his body, he's pretty screwed. Normally, he'd be looking to hide that arm underneath my right leg, but I have it isolated. I start to set up a trap. hoping he'll let go of my foot and rotate into my triangle. I just take my time and I don't force it. I'm very mindful, very demure, and eventually get the tap with a straight arm lock. I met Seth and many other friends in Tobago. I'd love to do more camps throughout the world, but I'm not sure where to go. So let me know where you think would be a good idea for a jiu-jitsu camp. We start again, and I'm trying to break the grip that he has on my left pant leg for 2 reasons. 1, because he's controlling me with it, and 2, because if I can break it forward towards me, I can then pull him right into a triangle. However, I get too concentrated on breaking that grip, and in the meantime, Seth hovers over my knee to almost pass my guard. But I'm not worried. I keep it demure and frame on him to maintain the space and bring my legs back in front of him. I've got the reverse underhook again, but I'm having a tough time getting my legs out from underneath him so I can gain control of his right leg. Eventually I do, and I start entering the truck. To get the better of the position, I need my knee pointing towards Seth rather than pointing towards myself. Seth needs the same for himself to get the better of the position. To help fight this battle, I make sure to not let Seth control my hip with his hand. Meanwhile, I control his hip with my hand. Eventually, I use my 2 hands on his hip to move his hips so that my knee points towards him like I need it. And now I position my legs fully into the truck while hugging over his shin and thigh for the groin stretch. And that's all she wrote. All my courses are 20% off right now for Labor Day. The links are in the description, so check them out and get yourself better at jiu-jitsu.